Bruce's Big Call Universe. Disclaimer. Bruce's Big Call contains opinions and information provided by Bruce. These opinions are not vetted, nor are they shared by the owner of the Digital Soldier Press Channel. As with all RV and NESARA-related news, from any source other than the most reliable source for news and information regarding the RV and NESARA, which is Mark Z and Mr. Cottrell, take said information and put it on a shelf. Manage your expectations accordingly. Note that NO money will flow or redemptions or exchanges will occur until Mr. Cottrell enters the codes to unlock the abundance of gold assets held by the U.S. Treasury, regardless of what anyone else might say on any other platform or channel. We strictly follow the information provided by Mr. Cottrell as the only valid source of information on the RV and NESARA start. And now, Bruce's Big Call Universe.
Welcome, everybody, to the Big Call tonight. It is Tuesday, August 18th, and you're listening to the Big Call. Get into the Intel segment. All right, I want to talk about a couple of things. One thing that's interesting, I did not know until Jeannie mentioned it in her prayer tonight about Indonesia. I'm really basically staying away from the news. I catch a little bit here and there, and I'm very specific. I go to Newsmax and One America News. That's it. But I'll occasionally hear something on the Weather Channel or whatever about what's going on. Like in, you know what we had in Venezuela with the earthquake there. Then we heard about the earthquake down in the two earthquakes in Venezuela and the one down in Colombia, South America. I think it was a 7.5. And I am not up to speed on how that recovery is going. I am not up to speed on it yet. And then now, here we are in the Ring of Fire, Indonesia, which is in the Ring of Fire, and they had a 7.7. Oy, that's a lot. That is a lot. Now, where I'm going to take this, on Sunday night, 2 nights ago, one of our leaders in the, what do you call it? See, my mind's not quite there tonight, guys. I'm going to try to get this out the best I can. One of our Redemption Center leaders went in Sunday night to check rates on the Redemption Center screens. Not Forex, not a bank screen, Redemption Center screen. And what he came back with, and what I wasn't feeling well Sunday at all, but yet I did hear the information that he had was that there were 4 currencies that were flashing, but then slower, and then they got to where you could actually see a rate on these 4. What were the 4 currencies? Iraqi dinar, the dong. Dong, yes. Then we also had the Venezuelan bolivar. Did I get that right? Yeah, Venezuelan bolivar. And 4th was the Indonesian rupiah. Now, I got rates on dinar and dong, but I did not get rates on the other 2. But I think it's interesting that the rupiah was up on the screen with some rate. And here they just, I guess that earthquake, did that happen yesterday? Is that when it happened? On Monday? I don't know when it happened. But I think that's interesting that, and you know, Indonesia is one of our currencies that probably a lot of us have. You know? And so did those rates stay up? I don't think so. But I don't even know right now, today, Tuesday, whether they're up on the screens or what currencies we have up. Our contact said he's waiting for an email tomorrow that probably will give him some idea of whether to go in or when to go in, and whether it may not be until Thursday. So we'll have to see how that flushes out. But in terms of when is this going to go, what I have heard from a Redemption Center leader and another Intel provider is they're going to try to do it this week, and later this week, meaning later in the week to me is Thursday, Friday. But if not, then the weekend. So I think military, of course, gives the true green light for when this actually will kick in for us. But I believe we're in pretty good hands under President Trump's direction as Commander-in-Chief to let this go at the appropriate time. And, where we thought it might be Monday or Tuesday today that we'd at least get notified, it looks like we've been pushed to later this week, or if not, the weekend. So that's not a whole lot of intel. So I thought what I'd do tonight is tell you briefly, there's a lot of interest in the med beds, the so-called holographic medical beds. And I want to let you know that I know there's some stuff out there, and there's videos, and there's different things on it, but I can tell you this much. They're fully operational in certain med bed centers that are not necessarily military, meaning they're not in military installations. And I know of some, and I know of two specifically because our contact has witnessed everything that's been going on for 23 to 25 people. They were all military. They all had major disabilities, missing limbs, missing arms, missing legs. This one guy came in, he had no arms and one leg. He's in a wheelchair with one leg, no arms. Didn't like that for 9 years. He gets wheeled in there. My contact helps load him into the med bed. And it took that entire thing for him took about 40 minutes to get completely, totally restored, everything. And there's a lot of stories. I'm not going to go into the details on all these stories, but some of them were pretty amazing, because it's amazing enough to see a new leg built, or a new leg from the knee down, or a new arm from the elbow down. This was common. This is every day for what my contact has witnessed. And I know about it secondhand. But I can tell you what these med beds are like. They're picture laying down like on an x-ray bed, but in this case, you got a pad maybe 1.5 inches thick. You lay on that. It's got a sheet over it. And the top of this thing, they call it a clamshell. It does not cover you. It goes over you. You lay down, you can look at a screen above, and it will show you kind of what the med bed is seeing in your body. And it sees down to the cellular level. And they give you something to put you in a very calm, quiet, no movement mode. By frequency, they find your DNA, and if you're still and you're not fidgety and all that, they find your DNA. You're just laying there. You're sort of in a semi-sleep state pretty much. And then, obviously, you're not moving around while things are being done to your body. So most everything takes place, like we're talking a new arm or a leg regenerated in 18 to 20 minutes. So what's interesting is this so-called clamshell that comes over, there's 18 inches between the mattress pad, which is a thin pad, and the screen, 18 inches. So you're not covered. It's not like a claustrophobic MRI. It's not like that at all. And they have a screen outside, and they have a person in an office with a laptop with a screen, and then basically you would load your information that you want to have done in that office with that assistant before you get loaded in. And some of the people that had no legs or was missing a leg, they get a little help getting out. They get a little help walking them. They go to a little bit of a treadmill kind of a thing where they can hold both sides of it while it takes you on a little thing so you can practice walking again. If that's your condition, practice walking, and then once you do that, you're able to walk down the hall or whatever like that. You do wear a hospital-type gown. They have a changing room where you change your clothes into a hospital gown, put that on, and then you would have, if you need help, you'd get some help getting into the med bed. Now, what's interesting is that this thing works evidently on a frequency range of 0.1 to 10 tetrahertz. Remember, Hertz, hertz. Hertz is named after, I believe it's a German scientist, and this whole thing is based on cycles per second, frequency. CPS, cycles per second, more modernly is called hertz. So 1/10 to 10 tetrahertz. That's the frequency range that we believe this is operating in. And I know there are different versions of the so-called med beds, but we know that the Secret Space Force had these in the form of a regeneration tank. Different system, but same concept for healing. That's a whole other can of worms. But that particular regen tank, as they called it, regen, works similarly and has been used for, I'm going to say at least since the 50s or 60s. In outer space. You guys will go, oh, don't roll your eyes. Oh, Bruce has lost it now. No, not really. This technology has been out there for a while. And our military is in control of it. And they want us to go after the exchanges start. And it'll go pretty quickly after the exchanges start. And supposedly the general public will be made aware of this about 10 days after we start on the med beds. I told you guys that as a Zim holder, you're considered a sovereign. I told you that if you have a dire need, like me, you can barely see, and whatever else I've got going on, that I would be given special access to it right away, a couple of days after I exchange, which is great. I can't wait. I'm much more interested in going to the med beds than I am in trillions and quadrillions of dollars, much more. Doesn't mean I'm going to turn down the exchange at all. But I kind of wish I had eyes for my exchange, but I don't. But I'll work through it somehow. So that's going to happen very quickly for us. And then let's say after I went or whoever else goes in that initial phase, 10 days later, we're understanding that the public will be made aware of it. Now, the only people that I know, I've heard of a few hospice patients that got in because, they were on their deathbed. I've heard of a lot of military, probably about 25 so far, that I know of that have been in the med beds. There's probably a lot more, but that's only the ones I know. And I know some of them were flown in specifically for this. Military or former military. And I know what age they went back to in every case. So I just wanted to give you guys an overview because I think you guys wonder, well, I wonder if he really knows what he's talking about. Yeah, I do. And I think it's fascinating technology. And I'm giving God the credit for it, because every good and perfect gift comes down from above. This technology, you know, what did the Bible say about the thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy? Kind of referring to Satan. But I am come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. John 10:10. Well, guess what? This technology is not there to kill me, to injure or destroy. You know, it's there to heal. So I am all in. Count me in. I cannot wait. And I think it's fascinating that we have it and it's there, and we've got plenty of MedBed centers throughout the U.S. and in Canada. And we also have them in 77 countries around the globe. 77,000 MedBeds. Check that. 77,000 MedBed centers with 2 MedBeds in each one internationally around the globe. I can't tell you how many are in each country or which countries and all that, but believe me, they'll be making more and more and bringing them online as they can, as they see that. Now, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about us. I'm hoping later this week, which to me is Thursday, Friday, comes to fruition. If not, the weekend. Okay, that'd be great too. But I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit of information on what my experience secondhand has been on the holographic, H-A-L-O, holographic medical beds. Don't fall for another imitation, some other kind of deal. This one and that one. This one does that. Well, that one does this. Well, guess what? This does everything. Everything that's wrong with you is going to be fixed. I think whether you know you got a problem or not, it's still going to read it. The first 6 minutes of the time in the bed, you're getting scanned. It's scanning you. It's picking up your DNA, and it's seeing what is not right, what is not right with you. And then it goes to repairing it. I think it's absolutely fascinating. And I'm excited about it. For everybody, not just for me, but for everybody else who needs it. What do we have to do in the meantime? We've got, in the meantime, which is where we are, we've got to try to be as healthy as we can. That's Boomer Boost and Barley. It's Myotrol. Maybe the new liquid Myotrol. It's vitamin D3. You know, it's Sleep Well. If you need a good night formula to help you go to sleep and stay asleep, get it. Absolutely a wonderful thing. Just make sure you're getting the proper nutrition. We don't have the right nutrition anymore in our food. Okay, so these are supplements to give you the nutrition. And if you're eating junk food or going out and eating junk food, you're not getting it there either. God knows what you're really getting. Okay, so make sure that you try to eat healthy. Eat healthy and drink water. Don't drink a bunch of Coke or Pepsi or a bunch of sweet tea. Southerners, get out of the sweet tea. Sugar is the enemy. It's more addictive than cocaine. Get out of the sugar deal. Get out of soft drinks. Even your diet soft drinks are no good. Oh, that's all right, Bruce. I eat like a huge meal and a Diet Coke. Well, forget the diet. Diet Coke, drink water, people. Drink water. Okay? And stay hydrated. Let me think if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Yeah, I will mention something else. Remember I told you guys about Peter Santinello. Peter Santinello. I think it's Santi N-E-L-L-O. Peter Santinello's YouTube channel. Now, I don't get up here and start touting people to listen to. Go to this guy, go to that guy. I don't do that. Never have in 15 years. But I did find this guy on YouTube, and I've been watching a lot of his videos all over the country. He does these videos where he interviews people and all that all over the country, and they're very fascinating. And today and yesterday, I saw 2 different videos that he did about Western North Carolina. And remember, now the video that he shot was about 7 months after the flooding and so on took place out there. And that alone is a strange thing, how all that happened. How could Hurricane Helene get split in 2 like it did? What the heck is that about? You know what I think about it. So what he talked about was the fact that there had a lot of Christian organizations that had come to help and volunteer. FEMA did some help in some areas. They had some money for the people that had lost homes, but it wasn't enough to get them rebuilt. It was like 20 grand, 33,000, whatever. It was not enough to bring their homes back. And there are still a lot of people that are in temporary housing, like trailers and different types of things like that. But they're trying to rebuild the roads. There's a lot going on, and I'm sure since that video was shot, there's more going on. But what happens is you forget about it. If it's not front page or it's not in the news, after the first week or so, people go, boom, whatever. They don't care. They're on to something else. But there's still quite a big need. Back in the back country, they call them hollers, back in the back country of North Carolina, I've been there. I've been through it. I used to drive from Sugar Mountain, the back roads up to Asheville, teaching tennis in Asheville at the Great Smokies Mountain Hilton, because I was teaching in Sugar Mountain indoors in an indoor bubble. Well, then we came down and we taught some indoors at the Great Smokies Mountain Hilton. But we'd take the back way, and we'd go through Bat Cave and Spruce Pine and some of those little towns I can't even remember. And so it's an interesting, beautiful part of the country. But it'll never be exactly like it was. But you know what? People are down there. And, a big shout-out to the Amish, because the Amish were coming from Pennsylvania and maybe some other areas too. I don't know. But they come, and those guys know how to build. They pulled everything out of the homes that they could salvage and repurpose, okay? And then they were there building, and those guys are terrific. There were a lot of different organizations, but mainly the work was being done, let's say, by the Amish and also people in the church groups. Baptist on Mission is a major player down there. Baptists on Mission. And then you've got other churches that send crews to come in, and they may flip a crew every week, kind of like a mission trip, where they'd come in for a week and get a bunch of stuff done. But some of the people are staying for weeks and months at a time to help out. And that is where we're going to start Rebuild America, is in Western North Carolina. We have a group of about 12 of us that have already met by phone and email. And I have a leader in the pod who has helped coordinate that for me. Shout out to A. And we're going to get together up there and stay in that area where we can go out and see exactly what is being done. And a special shout out to James, also an early pod member. And I spoke to him today for probably an hour, and he's up to speed on everything. The wildfires out west, everywhere from Colorado to California to Washington State. And it's a crazy thing what's going on with all these fires. It's just nuts. So we're going to start and see what we can do. Now, initially, our help will primarily be financial. Unless I have a group that has skills that want to dedicate time to rebuilding or helping in some way, but I'm telling you, where we can help the people by giving to these organizations, but I think we'll also help by trying to take care of the actual families, the people themselves that have lost everything. So we'll all put all that together. That's where our first so-called regional get-together will be. And I know kind of where I think we want to stay, and I know how we want to do it, where we'll fly into, and all that good stuff. So I'm just saying this to say that's where I'm intending to start. And then we'll go from there. I don't know what we can do for the Palisades necessarily, or what we can do for Maui. They're really slow in both places on permitting for rebuild efforts. But I know we can help out all over the country. And I'll need people from all over the country to help me with this vision. Because remember, I'm looking for 5,000 Big Call listeners or more that can get the vision for rebuilding this country. There's Rebuild America. I'll have a URL tied to that with an interactive type format where you can enter information, and we'll try to work with you knowing that. And then we're also going to have Rebuild International. And you know what? That starts with the Caribbean islands that are affected by hurricanes. And I told you guys about the Dominican Republic, Haiti, if we can get there. We'll get there eventually, but it might not be immediate. We got Jamaica. We got the Bahamas. There's some areas there where we think we can maybe make a difference. And that's what we want to do, is help people make a difference in their own lives. Now you switch over and you go, well, wait a minute. What about Venezuela and the earthquake and all of that rebuild? Oh, yeah. Oh, what about Colombia? Bruce, you speak Spanish? Yep. I can do it with some Spanish speakers that would join with me. Yep. So, I mean, we've got a lot that we can do, and we can start in this country. We can begin here and see where this thing goes. Ideally, we're going to do communities and small towns initially. Then when we're right and when we're ready, we can approach larger cities and get to inner city. And I want to get regenerative farming going big time. I want to get community farms in inner city space especially big time. I want to see the church step up. I want to see the AME churches in black communities step up and help take care over inner city community gardens. I want to see that we can grow food, grow fresh vegetables organically in these gardens, and then get canning or jarring of these vegetables, make it available, and maybe the church, which is supposed to be the storehouse, can handle that once the growing and that stuff, the harvesting takes place. And if I can find the right church leaders in those areas to take over, now our community gardens become part of the church's food bank, and they can help distribute food and so on. This is how I'm envisioning that for the inner city. Now, it could also happen in a small town, too. But I want to try to see us create opportunities. And Sue is big to talk to me about music. And you guys know I love my music. And I want to see that happen and try, if they don't have one or two, create an outdoor venue, amphitheater style, for musical acts. And I want to get arts back. in arts and music back in the game. Get these kids off of the screens. Get their video game selves outside and do some things, have some fun playing games and doing the stuff that all of us did growing up. And talking tennis courts, talking first tee program. Quite a bit can be done, quite a bit. So that is the vision that I have to try to rebuild this. And I said 5,000, looking for 100 volunteers in 50 states, that kind of a thing. That's how I'm coming up with 5,000. Hopefully it'll be more than that. And I think once we get started, and believe me, the word will get out. Hey, did you see those guys from Rebuild America? Who are those guys? We're going to try to do it as what's the word I'm looking for? On the down low as possible. And any funds that we give, we're going to try to do it where they don't trace it back to us individually, but it would go back to a trust or some kind of an organization that's handling the money. You know, so that we're not literally giving from our own accounts to people. You know, there's a whole art to that. Some of it is putting into a trust where it dead ends at the attorney's office. They can't find out anything. You know, we'll see how that comes together. But I'm excited about getting started in this. And I look forward to it just like you guys, into getting underway and then getting our projects underway. And I want to see North Carolina even better than it was. That's saying a lot. Western North Carolina, tip of Virginia, little bit of eastern Tennessee, all those areas that were affected. Maybe even northern Georgia. You know, South Carolina, the so-called South Carolina upcountry that might have been affected by it. I mean, and you know what? Man, if you've got the... Okay, I'm back. So, that's basically what I wanted to get out to you guys. The Amish or the Mennonites they would be the best neighbors we could ever ask for. And I just love the fact that they're volunteer-minded people, and they're hard workers, and they're good, skilled people. And maybe we'll get some things started, and maybe the Amish will help out. We don't know. I don't know. But I'm excited about what I'm seeing on Peter Santinello's site. And he's a YouTuber, man, big time. And I've learned a lot about a lot of parts of the country that I didn't really know much about. And we know that we can find the towns and the communities that need our help. It's going to be incredible, and I'm looking forward to getting started. So that's what I had to say for tonight. Send Sue those emails.